What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday to you all. I hope you are feeling good on this wonderful Monday morning. And if it's not Monday, hey, I hope you're having a great day as well. We have a great episode for you. Before we get into that, joined by my lovely team, my producer, Chrissy. Chrissy, say hi to the people.
Hi to the people.
Also, Chrissy, I just want to say thanks for just getting so many great guests on the show. You know, you put a lot of hard work into it. And if you like any of our guests, just say thank you, Chrissy, in your car. Be like, oh my God, I love that guest. I mean, Chrissy is the reason why. As well as our callers. Chrissy does a great job of reading all these emails and picking the right ones for our show. So, as well as we have Amanda and Allie, I'm part of the social syndicate in the studio with me today. How are you ladies doing?
It seemed rhetorical. We're great.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're not. Allie had
They're amazing.
They're great. Everyone's great. We have a great episode for you. Some great callers, some great questions, some great problems. I guess we don't want to call them great problems, but I don't know.
Interesting. They're interesting topics.
They're interesting topics. Make sure to tune in on Wednesday for a fantastic episode with Logan Ury, who is the author of the book How to Not Die Alone. We get into some fascinating discussions about relationships. She has studied relationships at Harvard and has wrote this very fascinating book about dating and knowing about non-negotiables and pet peeves and the difference. And it's a really fun conversation with Logan. I think you guys will want to tune into that. It's always fun to dive into all the various aspects of relationships as you guys, anyone listening to this is going to want to listen to that. I guess just give us some 5 stars. Always appreciate your 5 stars on iTunes if you guys want to take the time. I can't thank you enough. Can't thank you enough for sharing our episodes on your social media. It does make a big difference, and we appreciate you spreading the good word about our podcast, tagging us, tagging the show, telling your friends. Other than that, I say let's get to our callers. Great.
Question time with Nick. Let's ask Nick your sexy questions.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Who do we have?
I'm Jaden.
Hi, Jaden. How old are you?
34.
All right. And then who else do we have with us?
And I'm Richard. I'm 32.
Hi, Richard. How can I help you guys? What's up?
So I'm recently separated from my husband, who I had an open relationship with for about 16 years. My ex and I actually started dating Richard together about 4 months ago, and things didn't work out with my husband, so we separated.
Okay.
We parted on good terms, but I moved in with Richard about a month ago.
Okay.
Richard?
So we're living together, and we went from kind of a secondary, kind of casual relationship to now we're in a pretty serious primary relationship. And our question is about how to navigate telling people about our new relationship who didn't know we were dating beforehand, because obviously we had to be discreet about telling people that we were in an open relationship. And, you know, if people see that Jaden was married, but we've been dating for, you know, there's an overlap between when she was married and when our relationship started. How's that going to go?
So is this more of a problem of what do we tell people how we met kind of thing?
Well, we were friends before, so that part's at least pretty simple. But when I haven't even announced on social media that I'm getting divorced.
Okay.
So if I announce that I'm getting divorced and then I announce that I'm in a new relationship, it's going to be pretty quick turnaround for someone who doesn't know the background.
Well, yeah, but yes, this is a very unique situation, right? And if you guys are like, hey, listen, this is the life we've led and we just want to be honest and own who we are, then that's one option. You know, you could just tell people and or you can lie a little bit or admit some truths, which, you know, I'm not condoning lying, but everything, the world isn't privy to our entire lives. You don't owe an explanation to everyone about your private life. And so,
right.
Yeah, you there, no matter what, there might be rumors being well, you know, how did you guys meet or when did you meet? And who knows, but does that mean you have to tell them that you guys were in a an open relationship
poly
with,
relationship.
I don't think you're required to share that information, right? They might think there was some overlap. There's a lot of divorces where divorce is not like breaking up with your boyfriend or girlfriend or even fiance. Like you can be like, hey, I don't think we should date anymore. And you're like, all right. And you have a couple like weird conversations and someone like, you come get your shit. And then like, that's a couple week process where a divorce can take months, years, right? There's a separation sometimes. And then, and then two people who are technically still married are separated and they're dating other people. That happens a lot. That's not that uncommon. And so I don't think you guys have to worry too much about that. Are you trying to avoid anyone knowing that you guys were in this type of relationship in the past, or are you open to it? And is it something you guys expect to explore and invite someone else into this relationship at all going forward, or do you want to keep it monogamous?
Both of us are kind of in professions where we can't be super open about it. So we have, our circle of friends that know, and some of our family members, but the vast majority of people don't know that we're in an open relationship, that we were. And going forward, we're going to try to figure all that stuff out, which is one of the things that we're kind of taking it slow on because everything did change and happen really fast. So I don't know what things look like 6 months from now or a year from now, whatever, between us.
Just out of curiosity, when you guys did start dating, when you were married with your ex-husband, was this about like you and your ex-husband weren't getting along and you're like,
no,
it was an active decision to say, let's spice it up and bring another guy?
Well, we had actually been in an open relationship the whole time we were together.
We
were together
marriage.
16 years, the whole marriage before we were married. We certainly had periods of time that there was just the two of us, but it wasn't like a new thing at all. It was
many
something we'd been doing for a long time.
Different partners did the relationship have in the 16 years you guys were together?
5 to 10 maybe.
Okay. And who was bringing? Is it a mix of who was bringing those people into the relationship?
It's mostly me because I'm the extrovert. So I would go and meet people and, online or dating sites and whatever, and then we would meet them in person together. Sometimes he'd meet someone and we would date them, but
was it always,
most of the time it was me.
Was it always together, or was it sometimes
Yes.
you would go on a date with a guy and he would go on a date with a woman, and then maybe there should be some physical activity, or was this all going on as a group thing?
It was all a group thing, which was kind of an issue for me because I felt like I couldn't connect with somebody in the same way when it was 3 people versus if it were just one-on-one. So that was definitely something that we conflicted about toward the end.
Gotcha. He wanted to keep it a group thing and you didn't.
Yes, and I didn't.
What about you, Richard? Is this something you want to keep? Like, how did you get when you? I'm curious. I'm just we don't experience these stories too often. Is this something you were looking for, or when she reached out and said, "Hey, this is the situation"? Where was it? Like, were you like just curious? Like, where was your head at when you were getting into this situation?
So I had been in a non-monogamous relationship before, some monogamous, some non-monogamous. I'd say overall, my better relationships were usually the non-monogamous ones. When we met, we talked for a while, and she mentioned that she and her husband were non-monogamous, and I said, "That's great. I've been in a couple that brought in another person before, and I've never been the person coming into a couple, so that would be something I'd like to experience. Give it a try." Obviously, this time it didn't work out great, but maybe someday, another time. We are interested in, like I said, like she said, some kind of non-monogamy moving forward. We're still figuring out exactly what that looks like for us.
Well, as far as your immediate problem, I don't think you guys, really have that much of a problem like different than anyone else who's going through divorce, right? And I think a lot of divorces, there's a lot of kind of timing seems off or whatnot, and depending how nosy your friends are, you could just be like, yeah, we were friends, and he was a support system, and we went to a movie, and turns out there was a physical connection there, and like that's all they really need to know. And if they want to believe that or not believe that, like you can't control that, right? But my guess is, unless you've given them reason to think so, I don't think they're going to immediately jump to me like you know what? I bet they were in a throuple. Like I don't know if that's usually the go-to like explanation people have. So that's good news for you that I don't think, unless you've been kind of floating these things out and been like, maybe you're sitting down with your friends and like, is it nuts that I've ever like you admit to having these fantasies or like, so unless you've planted the seed with your friends that might be going on, I would imagine they wouldn't guess that. So I think you're good.
How long would you say, like if I announce in the next couple of days that I'm getting divorced in like social media world, how long do you think I should wait to then start posting about my new partner? Any advice?
Why is that? It's up to you, right? How much do you want people talking about you, right? How much do you want to have rumors out there? My girlfriend and I were dating for months before we ever acknowledged it on social media. We told our friends or whatever, but like, we were protective of our relationship, and the more thoughts and opinions you have about your relationship, it just brings in more noise, and more noise can be a distraction. So like, do you guys have to like be Facebook official like anytime soon? Will that do anything for the relationship?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Richard's not really a big social media person. I like to post when we go places or we do things. I do tend to post, not every day, but fairly often. And, we went away for a weekend, and I had a tendency to be like, oh, we went to this cool store, and I was going to post about it. And then I decided not to. So, little stuff like that it may not even be relationship things, but just that we're together.
I think it's just, this is, you just have to make choices on your priorities. Your priority for, letting the world know where you're shopping, or the priority of having a little bit of privacy while, to avoid people talking about you. And you just have to make a choice. So, might as well just let people know you're getting divorced as soon as possible, knowing that you are in a relationship and you're proud of this relationship, and you want to share this relationship to your friends and family. So the sooner you let people know you're divorced, the sooner you can do that. And if you want to wait a week or two, I don't know, that's fine. People are nosy in these communities. We like to judge our friends. We like to gossip on Facebook, and, I don't wait a month, It's not that, I met some guy in a month. Yeah, it turns out, and the fact that you guys were friends and people know you were friends, it would make sense that you guys met sooner than later. But the shorter you wait, the questions people are going to be like, were they fucking? Like that's you're going to get that. But also, that's a bit more question: how much do you care about what people think? And it's more of a debate about that, and that's really just a personal choice.
That makes sense. And I know, I've been listening to your podcast for a while, and I like that opinion of like, it doesn't matter what other people think, and that we should focus on us and not worry about all that extra noise. And that makes a lot of sense. That's
ideal, but we are human and we do. So you just have to be honest with yourself about how much you can handle. Right. And because we shouldn't, but we do. So it's just managing the expectation versus reality versus that. But see where this relationship goes, and then who knows, bring in someone else. Do you guys? I am just curious, because I don't really have a lot of friends, or I know a lot of people in these types of relationships. Is it gender specific? Like, if you guys were to bring someone else in, would it be another guy since it was two guys before, or does that vary?
It varies. For us, we're both bisexual, so it really doesn't matter. The gender isn't important. And that was the way it was with my ex as well. So
interesting. Well, it sounds exciting. I mean, certainly mix it up. And was it, when you guys were dating, I'm curious, back with your ex-husband, it wasn't just all about sex, right? This was more like a relationship.
Not at all. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually went on more dates with her ex-husband than I did with her while we were all dating.
Interesting.
That's true.
So did you feel like Richard, or did you guys both, I guess it would be more a question for your ex, did he feel like he had to break up with two people? And like, how did you guys make a decision that you two would stay together and he would leave? Because that's fascinating.
I knew that they were going to divorce before he knew, or at least before she told him. So I just kind of tried to stay out of the way for the last monthish, to let her take care of what she needed to take care of. I haven't really talked to her ex-husband too much since then. You know, we've checked in maybe once or twice over text. But even though I spent more time with him, I always had a stronger connection with Jaden. So that affected it too.
I spent a lot of time processing with my therapist what I was going to do. And then my ex and I did couples therapy. And the couples therapist recognized that I was done with the relationship at that point.
You kind of checked out. Yeah.
Yeah, I had really checked out, and we're actually still friends. We talk every day. We have a child together, and my ex is very committed to becoming comfortable with the situation so that he and Richard can get along and interact and be friendly again. I don't think there's any desire, certainly on Richard's part, and I don't think on my ex's, for the two of them to get back together, but being friendly would be helpful in our situation.
Yeah. How does jealousy work in these types of relationships?
It depends. I know I have a tendency to get jealous sometimes, but it's just a lot about communication. A monogamous relationship requires a lot of communication, and to be in a polyamorous relationship in these types of situations, it's just a little bit more being open and honest with yourself as much as with your partners, and processing what you feel jealous about. Is there something specific that's triggering that feeling, or just trusting that your partner's going to do what you guys have agreed to as a group.
And recognizing that you don't have to be everything for that person. They don't have to be everything for you. The example that I like to use is, have you ever gone to see a movie or gone to a game or some kind of event with your partner and you were like, this is the dumbest movie I've ever seen. I never want to see one of these movies again. But then if they have a boyfriend or a girlfriend that loves those movies, you can be like, great, you guys go to the movie. I'm going to order a pizza. Thank you for making me not have to go on this date, other partner.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense. Well, that's all really interesting. I appreciate you guys sharing the story. But it sounds like you don't have any immediate problems when it comes. Just, stay off social media for a while and let things breathe. That's what I would do. I would, the longer you can wait to post about it, the less rumors you will hear. And while it's good not to care what people think of you, it's also good to not go out of your way to do things that will cause drama in your life, right? Because even if you actively I don't care what people think, you still hear the noise. You have to actively, consciously decide not to worry about it. And if you do have professions that you think would complicate things, if people found out about your untraditional relationships, and that's stress and that's drama and that's an emotional burden you're gonna have to deal with. So the safest play is to just focus on each other and less on sharing it with the world for a few months, and after that, let people know you're dating, and I think you'll probably be fine.
Yeah, and that's definitely hard for me. I'm a very open person, so it's hard to keep things under wraps, but I've talked to my closest friends and family, and they all understand. So
yeah, and it sounds like it's not like you're keeping this a secret from everyone. You're just keeping this a secret from people you went to high school with that you don't talk to anymore, that you're Facebook friends with. I think they can wait. Yeah.
Yes.
So
yeah, and my daughter knows, so that's really the only person that I really cared about in that context.
There you go. She knows that you guys are dating. Does she know? Is she aware of the is it polyamorous? Am I pronouncing it right?
Polyamorous, correct. Yeah.
Is she aware of that?
No,
okay.
She was not. We actually were going to tell her shortly before my husband and I split up, and then we never had an opportunity to talk to her about it.
How old is she?
I'm glad that we didn't, because she's 9.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not an expert on that. I would think that'd be a question for a child therapist, and when the appropriate time to drop that bomb would be, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably good that you haven't. Feel like not a need to know basis at this point.
Yes, it's mostly the social media that I guess was my biggest concern.
All right. Well, I think we got a handle on this. Best of luck to you guys.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything, and hope it all works out.
Thanks, Nick.
All right. Take care, guys. Thanks for calling in.
You too. Thank
All right,
you.
bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
It's sexy story time, and you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Dipsy, ladies and gentlemen out there who are looking to spice it up as well. So many of the resolutions out there are about doing less of something, but give yourself something, more pleasure, people. Woo, baby, I love pleasure, and you do too, let's be honest. You love turning yourself on. But if you need to unwind after a long day of Zoom calls or listening to like your annoying friends about their problems, get some Dipsy in your life. Looking for some new self-care ideas? Oh yeah, that's self-care that I need in my life. Or maybe you're just looking for a way to get the funk out of that body. Dipsy is an audio app full of short, sexy stories designed to turn you on. Each Dipsy story features characters that feel like real people in immersive scenarios, so you feel like you're right. Is it weird that my producer Chrissy tells me how she's listening to Dipsy like all the time?
I do listen to Dipsy.
And I'm
but
like,
also, did you say get your funk out of your body?
yeah. I'm like, hey, Chrissy, thanks for low-key telling me that you just got done masturbating, but that's cool.
There's nothing wrong with masturbating.
There's not, but
And you can do it with a partner too, which isn't weird.
Dipsy also has wellness sessions to help you learn more about yourself, and bedtime stories and soundscapes to help you relax before you drift off. And for our listeners of the show, Dipsy is offering a 30-day free trial when you go to dipsystories.com/VIALL. That's a 30-day free trial when you go to dipseastories.com/VIALL. dipsystories.com/VIALL.
And that's what I use it for. The bedtime stuff to go to sleep.
Yeah. Hey, I got a hot take for you all hot take lovers out there. Your bank account should work for you, not against you. And that's why we're here to bring you Chime. Chime is an award-winning app and debit card with no hidden fees or monthly minimums. After all, you earned your money, and you deserve to keep it. Fee-free overdrafts on up to $100 in debit purchases with SpotMe. It's like overdraft protection, but better. Get your paycheck, benefits, stimulus checks, and tax returns up to 2 days earlier with direct deposit. No hidden fees or monthly minimums, plus 38,000 fee-free ATMs with MoneyPass and Visa Plus Alliance. Turn on alerts to let you know when your card is used and instantly block your card if something seems fishy. When you sign up for Chime Spending Account, you enroll in an optional savings account and grow your savings automatically with 0.5% annual percentage yield at 10 times the national average. Join the millions on Chime. Sign up takes 2 minutes and it doesn't affect your credit score. Apply now at chime.com/VIALL. That's chime.com/VIALL. Chime is a financial technology company. Banking services provided by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank, NA, members FDIC. Eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Overdrafts only applies to debit card purchases. Limits start at $20 and may increase up to $100 by Chime. Early direct deposits depends on the payer. Out-of-network cash withdrawal fees apply. Third-party and cash deposit fees may apply. Go to chime.com/VIALL for more details. How's it going?
Good. I am Taylor, and I'm 23 years old.
How can I help, Taylor?
So I think it's important to give you a little context before I dive right into my question. So my relationship history is I have been in 3 relationships since I was 16. And those lasted like in order 1 year, about 2 years, and 3.5 years. And I just got out of the 3.5 year relationship in December, but I feel like totally over it. Like, I feel like I knew he wasn't my guy at like year 2, and I kind of stuck in it because I was going through like a vulnerable time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I kind of grieved that throughout that relationship. And now, totally over it. I moved in January to like a new town, new people, new career, like completely just new life, and just doing my thing. And I've been pretty content in that, even though I've like been in relationships my whole life. I've just been fine being single. And then now I'm just like, okay, important to add that all my relationships were like long distance. And like after those, I told myself I was never going to do like long distance again. And so now I met someone at a bar, and of course he's military, so kind of goes. And I didn't realize that until the end of the night, and which sucks is because like we really hit it off, and at the end of the night realized that, and then I got his number, went our separate ways, whatever. And then next weekend after that we hung out and also had a good time. Went home with him, slept together. Next day we hung out. He wanted to take me on out to dinner, but I was like, come over, I'll just make you dinner or something like that. So also had like an amazing night. And so I've hung out with him one more time since then, not very long, just like quick, hey, whatever, coffee. And now I'm at a point to where like my question for you is, I am like obsessing way too much over this like situation. And it sucks because I just want to be casual with a man, and I don't know how to do that for some reason. And I'm just obsessing over like, when are we going to hang out next, or like whenever we're talking or whatever it is. And I think I've had more time on my hands this past week, so maybe that's why. But also in general, I'm just like, don't know how to be normal, and I don't want to get back into a relationship, but he's also awesome. So that's just where I'm at, like not knowing how to be casual and just like, take it out as.
How long were you how long your last boyfriend, when did you guys break up?
In like December, but like I said, like that was over in my mind before it was like officially over, and I broke up with him, and we're just going on different lives.
Yeah, but
completely.
I was just curious about time. Like for the past 7 years, you've had a relationship for 6 of them at least, right? You're like you said, you've for your
this pattern
more than your adult life. If you're 18 being adult, but you've been in a relationship. Mm-hmm. So there's something in you that's telling you like I need to like just desire to be casual, right? Just desire to be independent. Is you're hearing this voice inside, and you're having a hard time executing it because you don't know how to do that, right? It's not how you're wired, and a lot of people aren't. Like, maybe you don't. Right. You're like, I don't know. I like a guy. He's awesome. Like, why do I? You're like have these conversations with yourself because you've told yourself like I'm not doing this, but then you're like, well, why aren't we doing this, Taylor? Like he's great. So like, what the fuck? Let's date.
Exactly. And I don't want to like deprive myself of like having a good time. So it's like, because I want that attention, and I want to like, sometimes I just want to get laid. And so it's like, but it sucks that I feel like I just catch feelings too quickly. So I'm like, how do I separate?
What do you like about him?
He is super hot, which just total bonus. But he's ambitious,
but also
which is
a bit of a red flag in the sense that like, man, hotness, like I love hot people, and they're like, they make everything else seem so great. You've like the have you heard of the crazy hot scale for guys, right? Like for girls, like. It's a pretty funny YouTube video, but like it's silly and in a way misogynistic. But there's some truth of like, depending how hot she is, guys will put up with a certain level of crazy. Like the crazier she like, it's just like we just have a way of being like, it's fine. She's not that crazy. She's super smart, and maybe she's totally crazy and not that smart. But like what the guy is just very physically attracted to her. But like women do the same thing, right? He's hot, so like. You're just laughing at all his jokes and everything's great and everything's adorable because he's so goddamn hot, and
but no, he's also ambitious, and well, that's the thing, he's like really involved in his job, which I think that's also like a weird thing for me, military. But I wish I could get out of that thinking like I just want to get to know him. Why do I need to care so much about like his job right now? But I do like that he's ambitious because I feel like in the past I've just been wasting my time on these men that just I'm like they're going nowhere. And I like that he's like really engaged in like my career and what I do, and even if he doesn't know like much about it, he's still asking me questions and stuff like that. We have the same values, and then I'm like,
what do you mean values?
Like with our family, like he comes from and this is like my number one, so like that family is my number one, and so is his. And we both come from like, we both have 3 siblings and just large families, and that's just like our number one. And so, and I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, that's the only one that comes to mind because that's just like huge that I didn't have in the past. That I was like, why am I not dating guys that don't really care about their family when I do and I want that? So no, that's just like really attractive to me. And then, yeah, and then the
Can I
other
ask
night,
you a question? Do you think with
absolutely.
other things in life you have somewhat of an obsessive personality? Like when you get even in goals or tasks, you like get really fixated and focused on those things?
Probably, and I might not notice it.
Now, I don't know. I mean, even when the way you're describing, like we have a lot in common. And I'm not trying to, tease, but like to say like you both have like family is important to you, like you're not the only ones, like it's a thing a lot of people like to say, and that can vary to certain degrees. And that might mean you're really close with family, or maybe family is important because, you meet someone who like parents got divorced, they don't have the best relationship, so they really desire that in their partner, so they both really like family, and so I think you just need to trust your inner gut, your inner instincts. And that inner instinct is recognizing, hey, I've been in a relationship my whole life, and I don't know what it's like to feel independent and to feel alone. That's okay that you're excited about this guy. But logically, you have to recognize that doesn't matter if you both likes family, you have the same love language and all that, but like you can actively slow things down. You can, you have to have some willpower. If you want to work out more or eat better, like you have to make conscious decisions. So like that same logic that you're having now, you could be like, well, I mean, if I want to eat a greasy burger, why should I not eat the greasy burger, even though you're trying to like limit fat out of your diet? I don't know. Or it's just like, well, if I'm too tired to work out right now, why should I work out? Well, I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't, but you're the one who's saying, I need to get in better shape and I need to exercise a little bit more for my, that's a goal. I deep down, I just know I need to be more active, and right. So there's knowing what you need, and then there's executing on that need despite your desires telling you differently. Right.
Yeah, I suck at that. Now that you're giving me these like examples, I'm like, yeah.
So you just have to kind of self-police. It's a challenge, and it doesn't mean you can't hang out with this guy. It just means that, like, doesn't matter if you play house or you fast-paced relationships, time sometimes is the only way we really get to know people, right? Like playing house or going on The Bachelor will certainly speed up feelings and emotions faster than they otherwise would. But like getting to know someone, who they really are, their real insecurities, how they handle stressful situations, how they handle things when things start getting comfortable and normal and the excitement's no longer there, that just takes time, right? This is why it's why we call things like the honeymoon phase, because like there's so many variables that are bringing this relationship along that don't include like a true sense of deep love and connection, right? That come with like just knowing who that person is at their core, when they're at their worst, not just when they're at their best, right? You are meeting this guy's, as Chris Rock would say, his representative. He's meeting yours. Like, even if you try to be your most authentic self, it's hard to do, right?
Yeah.
People don't go on The Bachelor and, they'll tell their tragic stories and be like, I had this thing with my family and that endears them. But how many guys show up on their first date and be like, I got this really bad track record of ghosting women. I don't know. I'm really avoidant. I never call them back, and I'm kind of a wuss. Like, I hate confrontation. Have we ever seen that in the history of the show? No. No, it's always like these profound, tragic stories, or like my parent, and you're just like, oh, really? Like, oh, poor you. Like, way to be so honest with your vulnerabilities. But when do we really hear like, I don't know, I'm kind of rude to people sometimes. I show up late, we don't, right? Because we have a hard time being honest about those things, but we all do those things, and we have to give each other time to get to know. And you're not willing to do that right now. And
I know. I hate hearing this. Like, I hate hearing the truth, but it is true. And I just need to but I feel like how I'm gonna go about this is just like not talk to him for a while, and then
I don't know if that's a healthy approach.
I don't know. See, this is because with me, it's kind of like I need to go one way or the other.
Maybe.
It's like I either need to.
In the short term,
need,
that might be the best of the two worst options, right? It's just like I know deep down the best thing for me is time alone, right? And so maybe you push back a little bit and say, I'm just not. I like you, you're great, but I know something deep down tells me I'm not in the right place to really give this relationship a shot. And by a relationship a shot, I mean, like, if you are so great that maybe you're my person, I don't know if I am in the right space, because what you do know is he's a cool hang, he's a great lay, he's fun, and you enjoy his time together, right? We know that, and that's exciting. Mm-hmm. But what you don't know is this someone you're going to want to be investing in 5 years from now? Maybe, maybe not, right? The huge unknowns. We really don't know. But there's something about yourself is telling you, I don't know if I could be the best version of myself and really get to know you, because I'm questioning my ability to be alone and self-police my desire. So, like, I guess in the short term, I get why, but I think you need to get better at just slowing things down. You know,
I just need to, that's the thing. Like, I just can't sleep with someone or like go home with someone or whatever. And then the next day feel like fine about it. Like, and so I met him twice. I didn't go home with him the first night. The second night I did, which is because I got to know him a little bit better. It doesn't really make sense. Sometimes my mind is like, you're an adult, just do what you want. But then I, like, the next day, these things happen. Like, I get too in my head and get too ahead of myself before that. So I think, yeah, unfortunately, I kind of need to just separate, like, my head and my heart, like you're saying. I just need to hold off on men and just figure out my thing.
You can be sex positive and still refrain from sex if you know that deep down you will feel an emotional connection to whoever you sleep with, right? And then once in a while where you want to, like, you know, again, using the diet analogy, it's like you can give up sweets and try to eat healthy, but once in a while you're like, I deserve cake tonight. You know, and you go out and you have some fun at the risk of, like, being a little bit more emotionally connected. But what you don't want to do is sleep around so much despite feeling emotional connections that for self-preservation you learn how to detach yourself emotionally from sex. Because you don't want to do that, because when you meet a guy, then you will feel like disconnected from that. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, and that's, like, also not me. And so that's why I think that's why I actually do catch feelings or whatever quicker, because I'm like, okay, I'll just sleep with him every now and then. Like, it's like, so I don't have to sleep around or whatever it is, because like you said, sometimes I want cake. So it's like, I don't want chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. I want chocolate. Like, I want that same person. Yeah. So it's like, so yeah.
I think you just need you're young, take some time alone, even if it's for, like, you've never been single, you know. I'm sure you're used to going out, you get hit on, like, you really haven't been alone. I think you need to, like, take these kind of active choices for you to decide. And you're going to keep meeting guys, right? So you really, this is self-policing. This is kind of your first, you know, being mature for yourself. Like, this is, and it's going to take you, you know, I can tell you all this stuff. Eventually, when you're in the moment, you're going to have to decide, don't do this, Taylor, you know, and tell yourself.
I know. I'm happy. Your voice is going to be stuck in my head telling me that. And so I'm pretty sure, hopefully I'll be self-willed enough not to, but
yeah, try not to completely cut yourself off from society. Just to, you know, you can manage these moments. I feel like you have the willpower. You just have to practice. Like anything else, it just takes practice, and this is not something you're good at.
Yeah, that's good advice. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you calling. Good luck. It's good that you are learning how to listen to your gut and trust your gut, and now you just have to follow through.
All right.
All right. All right. Take care.
Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What's your name?
Good. I'm Kim. I'm 39.
Hi, Kim. How can I help?
All right. So I'm calling in with a co-parenting question today for you. All right. So I have a very toxic ex. We were together for 8.5 years. we have a 7-year-old son together, and of those 8.5 years, it was, like I said, it was toxic and abusive. Never towards my son, it was all just at me. But that's ultimately what ended our relationship. When our relationship ended 3 years ago, I took out a protection order for my son and myself against my ex, his dad. So he did not see or speak to his dad for like 9 or 10 months. It was almost a year. His dad was not in his life, for obvious reasons. But since then, for a while, his dad had like only 2 days a week of supervised visits. And then we went to a 60-40 situation where I had him 60% of the time, dad had 40% of the time. And then now we're at a 50-50, which is where we've been for about a year. So the tough thing is that although since going to 50-50, we've gotten a lot better at communicating, he will very often try to take advantage of my parenting time, which is really frustrating to me.
What do you mean?
So for example, he very recently, I picked our son up at school, and it was the beginning of one of my weekends, which is like a 5-day stretch. And he told me his dad had given him a card with a note in it that just kind of said, hey, if you ever want to come have a sleepover while you're at your mom's, just give me a call and I'll come pick you up. And he tells me this, and our son is just the sweetest kid, and he's very like open, so he'll communicate these things to me, which I really appreciate. But hearing that's just very frustrating to me, because to me it's a clear like disrespect of my parenting time with my child. And I have never, nor would I ever, disrespect his parenting time with our son. I respect the time that he has with our son, regardless of what happened between him and I. I still think that that relationship's important. I'm just not getting the same respect from his dad, which is really tough for me. And there's been other times too where our son's told me like, oh, dad said if I want to go do fun things this weekend with him, I should just call him and he'll come pick me up and take me to do whatever that is. And I'm like, well, but it's my weekend with you. And so that's a tough thing.
Have you talked to your ex about this?
I have brought it up to him a while ago, and he basically told me, well, if he expresses that he wants to spend time with me, I'm not going to deny him of that, regardless of whose parenting time it is. So it basically didn't go anywhere.
And help me understand, because I don't know too much about co-parenting type of rules in terms of like what the law is. But like, you guys, is this a court order that you guys 50-50, or is this you guys are like, how does this enforced?
Yeah, no, we went through, we each had a lawyer. We did it through mediation. It's a signed document through the court. So like, this is a 50-50. We both agreed to this. It was a mutual thing, but it still seems like his dad's not the one who's okay, like necessarily following these rules. And I've expressed to him that we both agreed to this. Like, let's be fair. Let's agree to stick to our time with our son and not try to overstep on the other parent's time.
Yeah, well, so I mean, I can get your frustration. I mean, he's not respecting that. It's a bit manipulative, right? He's I'm not a parent and I'm not a therapist, but my humble opinion would be you both, including you, because like, even when you say to your son, like, this is my time, like, how is a 9-10-year-old supposed to be able to process this, right? He's like kind of the innocent person, so like it doesn't do much good trying to explain to your son your frustrations with your ex-husband and his father, right? Because
I tried to leave that out of it. Yeah, I try to just basically tell him, well, you know what? I understand that you want to, but we have to be fair. And this weekend is my weekend, and you're going to get to see your dad again, whenever. So like, I try to, and I kind of leave it at that. Like, I try to leave him out of the adult drama, because I understand A, he's not going to understand it, and B, I don't want to be that parent who's involving him in our drama.
Yeah. I'm trying to it's tough because, like you said, it sounds like your ex is not the the best guy,
He's not.
and so it's a manipulation tactic, right? Because he's trying to be clever and go and say this to your son, and so when your son's like, oh, I want to go hang out with dad, because my guess is the 9-10-year-old is not fully processing what it means to be divorced or what it means to share. Like I would think that a 9-10-year-old, I don't know, these are my parents. Like today I want to hang out with dad, tomorrow I want to hang out with mom. What do you mean by like your time versus my time, right? And your ex-husband's clever enough to realize that, so he's like, hey, whenever you want to, like, I'll come pick you up, and it's
absolutely, yeah.
So
absolutely.
I think you just need to, as hard as it is, keep having these arguments with your ex-husband. Do you have any recourse if he continues not to respect the mutually agreed upon arrangement? Is there a recourse to say, even to your husband, it's like, if you listen, I don't want to argue with you, like you're arguing semantics with me. Like we're not married anymore. We're co-parenting. And by that definition, there's not like, we're not leaving it up to our 9-year-old right now.
Right.
Like
right.
when they want to hang out with whatever parents at a moment's notice, that like, it sucks that we didn't work out, but like, this is a situation we're in. If you can't respect that, then like, we're going to have to reevaluate our arrangement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's tough.
I hate that it's going to get to that point, but I definitely would try to leave your 9-year-old out of it. And it sucks because your ex-husband doesn't want to do that. And it's forcing you he's really putting you in a tough situation.
He's making me the bad guy, which I don't want to be. Yeah. So it's tough. And I understand that. Yeah. I mean, I think it is just kind of one of those things. I need to let it play out. And to me, it's like, I'm just not responding to that as much as I can. Like, I'm not going to feed into it. And just kind of let it kind of like blow over, hopefully.
Have you asked him without like, and I know it's tough, but like to your ex-husband, she's like, why do you do this?
I did initially, like a year ago, when I first brought this up to him. And again, his reasoning was just, well, if he expresses interest in wanting to see me, I'm going to try to fulfill that for him and make that happen. And I'm like, well, I'm like, yeah, but you need to be the adult and kind of set the boundaries, not let the kid make the decision
and
for you.
And he just doesn't,
No.
No. Yeah.
So that's a tough thing. It's like tough trying to.
And just out of curiosity, why did we get to a 50-50 split in this situation? Like, how did that happen?
He was fighting for that from the get-go, but I held off for as long as I could.
Why?
Because of the abuse that happened while we were together, and so I didn't feel like he was a very fit parent.
Why do you feel like he's fit now? Like, I'm actually curious. If you wanted to fight for full custody, do you think you could get it?
No, not full custody, but the tough stuff is that like the abusive stuff happened to me and never to our son. So like in the court's eyes, like it doesn't look that bad. And dad's manipulative, obviously, and has done a lot of work, and Tim can make it look like he's perfect and healed. So
if you wanted to, could you go back to court and make it challenging for him? I mean, I don't know.
I think if I wanted to try to do that, yeah. But at the same time, like our son did a lot. It was money is a huge issue too with that, right? Lawyers aren't cheap. But I mean, our son didn't do very well going between both houses when he didn't see his dad as much. And since we've gone to 50-50, he's so much more relaxed and chill about it, which is easier for everybody, I think. It's just, and it's not all the time that this happens, but there are situations here and there where they'll pop up, and it's just, it's annoying.
I'm
and
sorry,
it's frustrating.
it sucks. I think.
No, it's okay. Yeah.
As much as you can, I would try to kill your ex-husband with kindness, because he sounds like the type of guy who responds to and gets off almost he gets off on upsetting you, and knowing
absolutely.
that, and this is manipulating tactics, and if he gets the desired reaction, like, so almost I think like ignoring them, and it puts you in a tough position with your kid. But if we're just trying to get to a resolution that's the best possible given a toxic situation, like, I think try to not let it bother you as much as you can. I know it's probably much easier said than done to not worry about feeling like the bad guy with your son, because I think that's what your husband wants to make you feel, and that's what he's accomplishing. And
Right.
if he knows he's making you feel that way, he's not going to stop. He's going to keep going. He's going to get off on it. So as much as you can, just try to ignore him. And he's going to send these notes. You can ask him tonight. You ask him nicely to stop, explain your case, but don't let him see you get angry.
That's my biggest thing. It's very difficult, but again, I'm trying to either just ignore it or just be as polite as I can.
Yeah.
Because I agree.
The best
I don't
thing you
want
can
him
do.
to see.
I mean, if you get to a point where you feel like you're at the end of your rope and you're financially able to do it, and but like you said, it sounds like, at least with your son, it seems having his father seems to be positive in his life, and that, so I think, you could try as much as you can to just not let him see him get to you, because it sounds like the type of person who gets off on that.
Absolutely. No, he is.
So. And, like, if he reaches out to dad when it's your time, sorry,
Oh yeah, I'll let him ignore it because I'm like, no, it's my time. You need to respect that. So
I feel as long as you just keep loving your son, and even if you feel like the bad guy now, and again, I could be wrong. I'm not a child psychologist. I feel like one day your son, as he gets older, will realize and recognize and see it for what it was.
I mean, a lot of people have told me that. So I got my fingers crossed on that one. That's my hope.
And if he's a little bit mad at you, I don't remember the temper tantrums I threw as a kid when I got mad at my parents, but I do know, I look back and, as kids, as adults, we learn to appreciate some of the tough love our parents gave us and realize that they were protecting us. And so
absolutely
try to focus on that as much as you can.
I am. That is my hope. So yeah.
That's it. And just ignore nothing will bother your ex-husband more than him thinking you have no effect over. He has no effect over your mindset, your emotions. That will drive him fucking nuts. So
I know. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, best of luck.
That.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Yes. Thank you guys.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
You too.
How's it going?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. What's your name?
I'm Sarah, and I'm 26.
Hi, Sarah, 26. How can I help?
Okay, so my boyfriend and I have been together for almost 3 years, and for the last 2 years, he has been traveling for his job a lot. So essentially, it's long distance. I see him every other weekend, basically. And there's a lot of things that I need in order to make that work. And so far, we've done a good job at doing that. But recently, like in the past couple of months, I've noticed a huge shift and huge difference in him. Like, he isn't excited when he comes home to see me. Like, he just never seems happy or excited about anything. And I talked to him about it because it was really starting to affect me and my happiness in the relationship. And he basically told me that he has this family trauma that happened a while ago when he was a kid, and he never dealt with it. He's talked to me about it a little bit before, but I guess it kind of resurfaced. And when it all went down, he didn't have anybody he felt like he could talk to, never did therapy, and he was really depressed and suicidal. And his, I guess, defense mechanism was to basically shut down all of his emotions so that he could feel numb, is what he says.
Okay.
And it worked for him for like a decade, and I guess he was just living with it. And when it resurfaced recently, he's sort of gone back into that numb state. And so in order to not feel super sad and think about it all the time, he just shuts down all his emotions. So he's not sad, but he's also not happy, and he doesn't feel joy, and he's like pretty depressed. And I just don't know, like, if I can continue to support him through that. Like, I told him I thought he would really benefit from therapy, but I can't obviously force him to do anything he doesn't want to do. He doesn't like talking.
He is resistant to therapy at this point?
Yes. And
does he say why?
He says that he doesn't like talking about it, and he doesn't want to talk about it too much because he thinks if he reopens that wound, it'll just hurt so much more, and he thinks he'll become suicidal again. And he doesn't, I don't know, he kind of said that he doesn't have interest in changing and feeling emotions anymore because he's just lived with it for so long. And his family kind of just swept it under the rug, like, to this day.
Do you know what it is specific?
Yes.
Okay.
But they like to pretend it never happened. So he feels like he doesn't have their support, and he's just kind of stubborn. And I just don't know if I can like continue in this relationship because I'm really not happy with it right now.
Yeah.
But I also feel like, I don't know if this is just a low point, and I want to support him and like be by his side when he needs me. But I don't know, or if I should keep encouraging him to get better.
Without sharing, because we don't need you to share if you don't feel comfortable, but and I know you're not a therapist, but does it seem like something you, like you hear the story of what happened, you're just like, oh shit, like it seems like a really big deal. Like you understand why that might be something he's really struggling with.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he clearly needs to deal with it, right? Like, have you asked him the question, if you do nothing, how do you think you can operate as a person, whether you're in or out of a relationship going forward? Like, he says he doesn't want to do anything about it and he doesn't want to make it worse. And I appreciate that. I mean, if he was suicidal and he's afraid of suicide, I can imagine why that'd be a monstrous fear.
Yeah.
But if if the alternative is doing nothing, is this sustainable for him? How does he know he's not going to become suicidal by holding on to this? And you can't force yourself to feel nothing forever. I mean, you can try. I mean, and again, it sounds like has been somewhat successful, but as he has even stated about his own admission, like, these have a way of revealing themselves, a triggering event that he might not see coming. Person he interacts with, or who knows. And again, as someone who's not a therapist, I would think that could trigger him. And for someone who has spent so much time pushing these emotions and feelings down, what he hasn't done is trained himself to deal with this stuff and process his emotions. And so what happens when he gets triggered unexpectedly, doesn't know how to process these feelings, and is forced to deal with something that he can't handle? That would be my fear for him.
Yeah.
Right? So listen, the short answer is, he is not your responsibility in life. You have a right to, again, we've talked about this before, you have a right to be in a happy, healthy relationship. You can't help people who are uninterested in helping himself. You can support him. You can try to guide him. You can try to give him different options and be patient. But at some point, he needs to want to work on this and face his fears, as hard as it may be. And if he doesn't want to, then you reach a point where you do have to protect yourself, right? Because if he is this damaged and he's unwilling to do anything about it, it could become a dangerous and toxic situation for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's really unfortunate. How close are you with his family?
Pretty close, actually. Like, before
has this come up at all with them? I mean,
no. He has never even talked to them about it at all. Like, they pretend it doesn't happen. And meeting them before I knew any of this, I never would have known anything.
Sure.
They just seem like a really great, happy family, but clearly he still has issues with it. And I guess I just don't know.
When he told you, like, what was your reaction to the story in terms of how do you make him feel? What are the things that you've tried to say to him?
When he told me, I was like kind of shocked because I personally never dealt with anything super traumatic like that in my family. So I was kind of just like, are you okay? Do you want to talk about it more? And pretty much immediately he's like, no, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Like, I'm fine. It's fine. And yeah, that was it. And I don't try to push him to talk more than he doesn't want to. But it is, really starting to affect our relationship more. And I'm just not sure if it's going to continue or.
Well, I mean, again, without being a therapist, if you were willing and wanted to, and you weren't ready to break up, I would at least try to push a little bit. I would try to, as your girlfriend, his girlfriend, who's someone who he trusts and is a sense of security, try to make him feel like therapy, while risky, and you empathize with how he's scared, can be a really great thing, and you're there to support him through it, and he's not alone because he has you. But he also has to recognize that how he is choosing to handle this while you empathize with him is affecting the relationship. And if he's not willing to, doing nothing about it isn't an option because it's clearly affecting him. He's even acknowledged that it's affecting his behavior and therefore affecting your relationship. And how could you hey, sorry, babe, this happened to me. I'm going to just muscle through life, and it will affect how I act towards you, and it will affect how I treat you. It will affect my happiness and therefore affect your happiness, but I need you to deal with that forever. That's not practical, right?
Yeah.
And I think despite what he's gone through, you have a right to express that, But if you are willing first, since you haven't pushed at all and you just kind of let him say, well, I don't want to talk about it. And you're like, okay, I don't know what to say. So I guess I'm going to drop it. And I've been there, right? I've dated people, and again, it's sad how many victims there are out there of family traumatic events and abuse, and it's shocking, as I've gotten older and interacted with friends and people I've dated, and you're just the first reaction is do you, like you said, do you want to talk about it? And, you don't want to push. It's very delicate. I get that, but you're at a breaking point. So you have to, if it wasn't affecting the relationship, then you could probably be easier to ignore, but it is.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I don't know how to bring it up to him without it sounding like an ultimatum.
Well, at first, don't make it sound like an ultimatum, because you haven't pushed yet, right? So first push a little bit take the relationship out of it for the short term, right? Try to push a little bit, be like, hey, I want to talk about this. I know you said this, but if you're willing to revisit this with me, I'd like to talk about you. And it's affecting how you are feeling, and I know it's scary, and I want to be there. I want to be there for you. Don't say I'm going to be there for you no matter what, but I want to be there for you. But this is not sustainable for you and for us. And so is there a world where you would consider therapy? I think you just have to push therapy a little bit harder and not be so quick to let him say, I don't want to talk about this. If it gets to a point where he just refuses and you get nowhere and he shuts you down and he gets mad or angry at you and reacts to you, then I think you're kind of forced to say, okay, well, what do you want me to, how can we be in a relationship? Kind of make it get him to answer the obvious questions. You want me to, this is us for the rest of our lives?
Yeah.
I'm worried about you. Do you really think you can just muscle your feelings and hide them forever?
Yeah.
I mean, see what he says with some of these obvious questions. And you just got to get him to think about it. He's just scared, and I get that. So you got to try to, if you can, get through that fear. And it's a tough situation. But
yeah. And then it is hard, especially too, because most of our communication is done through text because and I did tell him a couple weeks ago, I was having a really tough time with it. And I told him, I think he would benefit from therapy because I've done therapy and it's helped me a lot. And I think he thinks that his situation is so unique and special. And he was like, they're not going to understand. And I told him, I think you'd be surprised at how many other people gone through the same thing and feel the same way as you. But
yeah, maybe he should look into, I don't know what happened to him, but I do know, while I'm sure it is unique, it's not necessarily unique and that's what's sad. The sad reality is there's a lot of fucked up shit that goes on in this world and with families, and there's a lot of secrets out there, and it's scary, but there are support groups. And I think more than anything, it sounds like your boyfriend feels like he truly is alone in this, and he feels the shame and guilt, and he feels like no one can relate, and he's scared, and it's a heavy, and so he needs to realize there are other victims out there. And while it might not be the exact same story, right, there are people who probably can very much relate to what he's feeling.
Right.
And trying to connect him with that. So do your best, but he needs to give you something to work with, because otherwise you could be putting yourself in a dangerous situation.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I'm sorry. It's tough. Yeah. We try to help the ones we love, but they do have to want to help themselves.
Yeah. I know. I'm just trying to figure out, like, at what point.
I wouldn't text this stuff. I would FaceTime and get on the phone. These are not conversations to be having over text.
Yeah, that absolutely.
We read text how we are feeling.
Right.
So, however he's feeling, no matter what you text, no matter what emoji you throw in there, he's going to interpret it how he's feeling. And it's, let him, and that's why I think FaceTime, let him see your face, let him see your facial expressions, let him get all the forms of communication available to you guys that don't include being in the same room, to have these very tough conversations.
Yeah. That is, it's also really hard. Like, just a whole nother factor is he overworks himself, I think, as a way to distract himself, but he'll put in like a 19-hour day and then go to sleep. And so we don't really have time
he's trying to avoid dealing with this however way he can. And he's grasping at straws. He's going to run out of options.
Yeah. So.
I think if you're willing, some tough love for the next however long you think you can endure pushing him, but at some point there's a breaking point.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
all right. Well, good luck.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you for calling and sharing your story.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a good day. Wow. Killed it. Nailed it. What a great job. Pat myself in the back. Can't thank you guys enough for listening to this episode. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed giving it to you. If you have some time, why don't you just go into iTunes, give us some 5 stars. Really appreciate it. Also, merch is available, viallfiles.com. We got breakup books. Give it to all your friends that are whining about their exes they can't get over, and tell them to just write a bunch of shit down that pissed them off. Also, some catchy, wonderful sweatshirts, t-shirts, mugs, hats. We have it all.
Tote bags.
Support your favorite podcast. Buy some merch. Other than that, have a great day. Bye.